Alright guys, it's D-Day. Finally, we're putting some paint on this car. It was rattle can blue when I got it, and my first priority was dealing with all the performance related stuff, but now that we've kind of got that where we want it, we're finally going to paint this thing this year. So I got my boy Danny Lightning here today.
Hey, hey, hey.
Cheese, cheese. Danny's helping me get this thing prepped and ready for paint. And we're just going to go over some kind of funny things here. This rear trunk light was like bondoed over. So
with the light still in place.
With the light still in place. So we're going to fix that. I personally like the look of the second light in these cars. These guys right here. So we're going to kind of bring that look back. And just freshen everything up a little bit. Deal with some stuff on the fenders. Nothing crazy. It is a drift car. And this car was a sunroof car before. So it had the sunroof kind of molded over. But it's just a little bit wavy. So we're going to fix some of that. And she's gonna get sprayed hopefully next weekend. So we got a big day ahead of us. Got some over fenders for this thing now too. Fresh front bumper, fresh rear bumper, and it's gonna be a full day of sanding. Let's get this bread. Woo! All right guys, quick update here. We've been burning the midnight oil. It's like 10 o'clock, so it's not midnight oil. I guess it's pre-midnight oil. Danny just left. Pretty much all of the car is prepped. We were able to salvage where the lights were bonded over, so I'm stoked on that. It's gonna look good. This car wasn't as bad as I thought, and being that it was spray bombed, the spray paint actually kind of worked as a primer because it's kind of thick. So it's all sanded down right now, and it's pretty much good to go. A few little nitty-gritty things tomorrow, but this thing will be good for paint as of tomorrow. It won't be getting painted until next weekend, but then tomorrow I can focus on getting the engine in the car, the trans, driveline, all that stuff. And you can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, so it's looking good. I'm stoked on it. What we replaced is we have new front fenders with overs. Shout out to my boy Pat Sweever for the hookup. Appreciate that, homie. New fresh hood on this thing because last year in comp transitioned a little too close to a dude and kind of pushed in this section of my hood. So new hood, new front bumper. Other than that, the rest of the car is the same stuff. We just cleaned it up a bit, cleaned up these arches a little bit and whatnot. So yeah, stoked to see this thing painted, looking good. And we'll definitely be doing some burnouts, ruining the fresh paint with some hot rubber. Ain't that right, C-Money? Mm-hmm. Sick. So we'll skip to it when this thing's in the booth, and we'll show you guys what she's looking like. All right, guys, today's the day. Got the old girl all loaded up on the trailer. She's heading to Sirius tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We're gonna mask it, paint it. I got all the fenders and stuff in the truck. But we're not going for gold here, but it's definitely gonna look a hell of a lot better than it did. Stoked on a few touches, like we've got this trunk light back in here, which is a personal favorite of mine on these cars. I really like that look, so it'd be nice to have that back in there. And overall, just cleaned up the paint, arches, nothing crazy. We're grabbing another chassis, another E46 chassis for next year, so I'm not going crazy with this thing. It literally just has to look good for this year. Although some of the panels will carry over to the next car, we're not going crazy with stuff. Like there's some good divots in the roof and whatnot from the sunroof delete being done, but it's a race car, so not a big deal. But I'm stoked to see this thing once it's painted with all the body panels on it and stuff. Should look a little nicer than it did before. So let's cut to the paint booth. All right, it's almost time, boys. Car's in the booth. Big shout out to C-Money, Granddaddy South, East Atlanta Santa, for helping me get this car ready. Also big shout out to Danny Lightning for helping me prep it in the first place. And then obviously my boy Pat's gonna be laying down the floss. So I'm stoked on that. We got this thing in the proper Sirius Garage Works paint booth. She's getting the real deal treatment here. Got all our panels set up, ready to rock. Stoked to see how this thing turns out. Sick. Yoo-hoo. There it is, boys. Pat's laying it down. Looks good. I'm pumped. So stoked to see it. All right, guys, so we're back at the shop. It's been a little bit. The last video you saw us at the paint booth, and now we've got the car painted. It's been a couple weeks actually since we got it painted because we've been just getting everything ready to run. Engine's in the car, full drive lines in, everything's in, bled, fluids are good. Last weekend we were here, we didn't have oil pressure when we tried to crank it at the end of the day, but we were also only had a couple minutes to try that. So we pulled the spark plugs out and just cranked it without fuel just to build up oil pressure so it wasn't fighting compression. And we were able to do that now. Here's the big color reveal. It's white. And the hilarious part is actually tomorrow we're going back to Sirius, and we decided we want to make this thing look like a bass boat. So we're gonna scuff all this and throw some flake in a can at it and have this thing looking like a Bass Pro pleasure craft. So it's white, but this isn't the exact white it's gonna be because it's gonna have a bunch of flake on it. So it's kind of a weird color reveal. But that wasn't the plan. Nothing goes as planned. Away she goes. So right now, me and Biller, Cutthroat Raceworks, we've kind of messed with this thing, got oil pressure up to my oil pressure sensor here, just a mechanical gauge, and we're actually gonna fire it now for the first time. So it still hasn't been tuned and it doesn't have O2 sensors plugged into it, so it might run a little rough, but all we're looking for right now is just to actually have it fire and not put a piston through the roof. So let's get that done. Okay, ignition, priming fuel pump. No leaks under car.
Nope, don't look like it.
I'm gonna wait till it does this thing here. Are you ready?
Yep.
She's angry. All right, guys, it's been a hectic couple weeks here. That's because we've been hustling with my car just to get it done. Lots of things on the checklist, and that kind of took priority. But we're just about to take it out for its maiden voyage. We've ran it, we've bled everything, and while we're at it, I may as well do the paint color reveal with you guys. So it's white, but after first painting it white, we decided we'd throw a little flake in it. So it's got basically 3-stage flake paint job going on here, and you can see the sparkles in my phone light. I'm super pumped on it. I think it's pretty unique. In the sun, this thing looks really killer. It's almost hard to look at. And I mean, just the fact that it got painted white this year, it just looks like a totally different car. So I couldn't be happier with it. So obviously big shout out to Danny Lightning for helping me prep it. And big shout out to Pat and Serious Garage Works for spraying the car and letting me come in on the weekends and prep it there and whatnot. Couldn't be happier with this thing. Disco ball on wheels. All right, so we're gonna take it out for its maiden voyage right now. This thing's hitting the dyno on Wednesday. Right now it's Sunday night, so it's a pretty big crunch. Let's get her done, brother. Look for fluid on the clutch side when I fire it up. That's the only thing that we have to be concerned about right now. All right, guys, so last we talked, I told you guys this thing got painted. Just wanted to show everybody in the sun what it looks like. So we ended up throwing bunch of flake at it. This pleasure craft is looking like a bass boat now. I don't know how well you guys can see this in the video, but also it's obviously white. You can see probably in the roof. Yeah, there you go. So tons of flake. Looks super good. I'm very happy with it. And we just got back from 2 days at the dyno, which was an interesting experience. It could have gone better, but it could have gone worse. No major issues, some minor wiring bugs we had to fix out. We maxed out the stock MAF, ended up going to speed density, put on a velocity stack style filter, ended up going from, this thing had 5.3 flex fuel injectors in it. They were maxed out, just didn't have enough, so we ended up putting LS injectors in it, and she made 400 wheel and 385 torque, so I'm happy with that. It's a 6 liter, so no complaints there. And it ran pretty flawlessly once we got all those little wiring bugs sorted out. So we got Shannonville on Saturday. Today is Thursday. A few things to sort out, clean up some wiring, got to get tires mounted, do an alignment. But I just want to give a huge shout out once again, first of all with the paint, to Pat's here for allowing me to use the booth, spraying the paint, making this thing look so good. Also Danny Lightning for helping me prep it, as well as my cousin C Money Kaysen for also coming into the shop and helping me prep that. And then as far as today goes, in regards to getting a dyno time last minute and spending 2 days at the dyno, a huge shout out to Fab Mac, Josh over at Fab Mac, as well as Kyle who was working there, as well as Pat Sweever. All those dudes kind of helped out with this car over the last couple days. And also a huge shout out to John at BMS Tuning for tuning this car and putting up with it. He was super thorough with everything, and we fixed a lot of stuff that was done wrong on the ECU, and then tuned it specifically to the modifications that I've done to this engine too, because obviously now we've added a cam and some more compression with the deck head. So I couldn't be happier. We took this thing for a rip down the street. It is a rocket ship. Even though it's not aligned yet, it still felt good, so I can't wait to feel what it's gonna do when it's properly aligned. So we're gonna get cracking on it now, and tomorrow night, Friday, we're heading over to NV Auto because Riley is gonna stay late after work with me, and we're gonna bang out this alignment on their rack. Shout out to the homies for helping me out big time on this one. And yeah, it's been a long couple days, guys. It's always last minute no matter how much you plan, and it always ends up being, you know, day before and night before, but I'm tired, and we still got more work to do. So we'll see you guys at the track. Check out this flake. Oof. Pimping ain't easy, boys. Somebody's got to do it though.